The Matrix Resurrections from 2021 follows Neo, formerly Thomas Anderson, as he grapples with the blurred boundaries between reality and simulation, memory and identity, and control and freedom within the reconstructed Matrix. The narrative begins with Neo living an apparently ordinary life in a modern city, working as a video game designer and experiencing vivid, disorienting visions of past events that hint at a larger truth. This sets the stage for the film's exploration of perception, cognitive manipulation, and the interplay between personal agency and systemic control. The story emphasizes the tension between conformity and autonomy, illustrating the ethical and psychological stakes of navigating environments where reality itself is contested. Neo's journey is catalyzed by his interactions with Trinity, who also exists in a simulated state and whose recognition of shared past experiences challenges the constraints imposed by the Matrix. Their relationship underscores the narrative's thematic focus on relational intelligence, emotional resonance, and ethical motivation, emphasizing that human connection can catalyze awareness, courage, and transformative action. Memory, love, and loyalty function as anchors in Neo's quest for self-realization, highlighting the interdependence of cognitive clarity, ethical reasoning, and emotional depth in confronting oppressive systems. The plot escalates with Neo's gradual rediscovery of his abilities, including superhuman reflexes, perception manipulation, and combat proficiency, illustrating the narrative's exploration of mastery as the integration of skill, self-awareness, and moral judgment. The film examines how extraordinary power is inseparable from ethical responsibility, requiring discernment, relational insight, and strategic decision-making. Neo's struggle to reconcile his past identity with the limitations imposed by the new Matrix reflects the broader tension between memory, truth, and self-determination in environments governed by deception and control. Antagonistic forces manifest both in the Matrix itself, through its control mechanisms and digital enforcers, and in systemic figures such as the Analyst, who manipulates perception and emotion to maintain dominance. These forces exemplify themes of surveillance, coercion, and cognitive exploitation, highlighting the ethical and psychological complexity of resisting manipulation. Neo's challenge is not only physical but deeply cognitive and moral, requiring insight, patience, and relational understanding to navigate threats that operate across mental, emotional, and material dimensions. Relational and ethical dynamics are central to character development. Neo and Trinity's bond provides the emotional impetus for resistance and self-realization, emphasizing that human connection can counteract systemic coercion. Their interactions demonstrate that relational intelligence, trust, and empathy are critical components of moral and cognitive agency. Supporting characters, including Bugs and a network of liberated individuals, reinforce themes of collaboration, collective action, and ethical coordination in the pursuit of autonomy and justice. Action sequences blend martial arts, acrobatics, and visually complex representations of digital manipulation, illustrating the interplay of physical skill, cognitive strategy, and ethical choice. Combat within the Matrix requires situational awareness, anticipatory reasoning, and adaptive problem-solving, reflecting the multidimensional demands of heroism in environments shaped by uncertainty, deception, and systemic opposition. These sequences emphasize that effective action necessitates the integration of skill, judgment, and relational insight, rather than reliance on raw power alone. Psychological and philosophical dimensions are explored through Neo's internal conflict, including doubt, memory suppression, and ethical deliberation. The narrative examines how perception, cognition, and emotional resonance shape decision-making, highlighting the importance of self-awareness, moral reflection, and strategic insight in navigating complex, high-stakes environments. Neo's struggle illustrates that personal mastery requires reconciling conflicting impulses, ethical dilemmas, and relational obligations, emphasizing the interdependence of mind, emotion, and morality. The antagonist's manipulation of perception and emotion underscores the narrative's critique of control systems, including technology, bureaucracy, and psychological coercion. The analyst embodies the use of information, prediction, and behavioral influence to maintain dominance, presenting both a strategic and ethical challenge for Neo. This dynamic highlights the integration of cognitive skill, ethical reasoning, and relational understanding in overcoming adversaries who exploit systemic and psychological vulnerabilities. The climax synthesizes relational, cognitive, and ethical threads as Neo and Trinity fully recognize their power, reclaim agency, and confront the constraints of the analyst and the matrix itself. The resolution emphasizes choice, autonomy, and the transformative potential of relational and ethical alignment, demonstrating that liberation arises from the integration of skill, moral clarity, and relational commitment. The narrative concludes with a balance between personal growth, relational understanding, and strategic mastery, reinforcing the importance of ethical and cognitive integration in achieving lasting impact. Cinematography, visual effects, and sound design reinforce both thematic and emotional engagement. The film employs a combination of realistic urban environments and hyper-stylized digital representations to illustrate the interplay between perception and reality. Action choreography, compositing, and auditory cues heighten tension, emotional resonance, and narrative clarity, emphasizing the multidimensionality of cognitive, ethical, and relational engagement. Technical execution complements the story's philosophical and psychological depth, ensuring that spectacle serves both narrative and thematic purposes. Ultimately, The Matrix Resurrections presents a narrative in which cognitive skill, ethical reasoning, relational intelligence, and adaptive action converge in a morally, psychologically, and technologically complex environment. The film emphasizes that mastery, heroism, and agency are inseparable from the integration of intellect, moral clarity, relational awareness, and adaptive problem-solving. By blending action, philosophical inquiry, psychological exploration, and relational depth, The Matrix Resurrections reinforces the appeal of protagonists who harmonize skill, morality, and relational insight to navigate high-stakes, multifaceted, and morally ambiguous scenarios, illustrating that true heroism requires the alignment of personal growth, ethical responsibility, and operational competence in a world where reality itself is contested.